Welcome to RetireCoast. We're going to show you today how to use our Retirement Destination Research Assistant. Now, this is a very important tool, and it's embedded in an article on the same topic that appears in RetireCoast.com. We're showing you the title screen right here, Plan Your Best Retirement Move. Research, compare, verify, and decide. If you are considering retiring in any place other than where you're currently living, it's important that rather than following the herd to the next biggest place everybody goes to, that you do your own independent research and make your own decision, not based on where all your friends, neighbors, and relatives happen to be moving tomorrow, but based upon your personal circumstances, what you're interested in, and also the research. So we're going to talk about doing live research here. We're going to compare states, and we're going to talk about your priorities, and we're going to save or print it as necessary. So this is the tool itself right here. Actually, this is the tool page that you're looking at, RetireCoast.com, which is our website. And we have a number of tools here that you can also check out. So let's go down, let's scroll down, and we want to talk to you about, this is not just another best state to retire ranking. In fact, I don't like those at all, because generally it's not even about a state, it's about one place in that state, a city, and not the entire state or some of the other. Consider, for example, in California is a very large state. When they focus on San Francisco or Los Angeles, they leave out a lot of other areas. How about living up in the mountains or living out in the desert? So those are all avoided because they don't get a lot of press. So ignore those state rankings, even the city rankings. You may want to just live in the country or in a development someplace that's not as crowded, and you're not going to see that generally on all of these ratings. That's my rant for you here. So let's go down, and we're going to talk about how to use this. This is actually a very sophisticated a bot that has a tremendous amount of code, thousands of lines of code in this. And in this code, it's going to search pretty much everything on the states that you choose. It's got a whole list of parameters it's going to check on all the states that you choose. So it's going to take a little bit. And because of that, there is a 6 research per hour limit on this because it is very taxing on the system. So you can choose to pick one, for example, and we're going to go through that. And then maybe you want another one a little bit later or another one a little bit later. Now, most people, can get away with doing it at one time or maybe twice, but let's try it out. So we're going to choose a state, and I'm going to pick California because that's where I'm from. And we're going to take another state. We're going to be taking Mississippi, which is where I moved to. Then we're going to take the state everybody seems to want to go to, which is Florida. Now, we can choose other states here, too. You can choose all the hotspot states if you want to, but as I mentioned to you, don't necessarily choose the hotspot states. Maybe choose some you haven't thought about and see how it runs out. Now, we're going to talk about what matters to you here. And you have choices. Let's take a look. Low, somewhat important, important, very important for each of the decisions that you're going to make. Housing affordability, is that important to you? Taxes, is that important to you? Or little importance? So let's just say housing affordability for someone that's going to retire is very important. And we're going to leave that as very important. Taxes, one of those things that can kill a budget, I'm going to put down as very important. Actually, I want to put down as critical because a lot of people are looking for places to move to with low taxes. I'm going to take the cost of living and say that's very important. Healthcare is important. Most people are going to have Social Security. It's important you have it. I'm not going to say very important at this point. Maybe you're early in your retirement. And then insurance costs, they're going to be important too. Typically track with the cost of living, so you can put that in here as very important or critical. I'll put very important in here because it's part of the cost of housing. The climate is important, but maybe it's not the most important thing. Some people move to a very cold climate. Some people move to a very hot climate. It's up to you. Make your choice and then move on to population and growth. a lot of people don't want a lot of growth. They want to go someplace where it's going to be pretty much like they moved to it, 10 years after they moved. Or they want to go to a place that just has lots of growth, lots of new houses. So you change this if you want to. And so I'm going to put down that growth is somewhat important. That's for me anyway. Traffic is important, not overly so. And we're going to talk about recreation. That may be very important for a lot of people. So I'm going to put very important in here. And family proximity may be important. That's hard to judge, but we'll leave that as just important right now. And then we're going to come down to community and lifestyle. That usually is very important to people. One of the reasons that they actually move. In fact, it could be critical for some. And long-term affordability, I'm going to put down as critical for many people that are retiring. And we'll put down your approximate retirement year, and we'll use it. We'll leave it at, say, 2026 for right now. You can put any year you want in there. Let's just say that the housing plan is to buy a home, but you can put down rent or buy a home, either one. And then the primary mixed retirement income, or mostly Social Security or pension, and this will make a difference to what you decide to check out. For example, some states charge tax on Social Security. So I'm going to leave a mixed retirement income. And now I'm going to click on this. It says here, click once and be patient. The reason for that is not going to be an instant calculator result, because it has to actually go out into the world and gather this information and bring it back. It's not piled up someplace. This is current information that's going to grab, at least the most current that's produced. So I'm going to click here. Research is in progress, and I'll talk to you just a little bit about this while we're doing the waiting game here, which takes roughly about a minute or so. I like this tool because it will help you understand things to look for in another state. One thing this does not yet do, but it will at some point, is drill down to more of the local decision making, such as the city or the county, for example. Most states, they have a state tax, but then the locals may have a much higher tax in that area. Housing may be more expensive in one area than it is in another area. So there are some differences within a state or within a region, for example. And we're going to start getting into some of those nuances with future iterations of this tool as we gather more information. But that requires a considerable amount of research that goes well beyond just the 48 states, or for example, or 50 states. 48 is the one we are targeting mostly, but we have Hawaii in here too, and Alaska as well. So please come back at some point if you're interested in drilling down a little bit further, because there will be not only the cost of housing in some areas might be higher, but as I mentioned already, taxes. The key things, however, are going to be covered in this one, because we're already going to cover the state income tax. We're going to cover whether they charge tax on retirement income. We're going to cover possible insurance. So here we are. It just popped open, and let's go down and see what the results are. Now, you notice the print button showed up right here because this is your report, and this is actually a report. This isn't just a few numbers here, and it's not going to decide for you where to go. It's just going to provide you with some information on these particular states so that you can compare them. So this was compared to, tells you Florida and Mississippi in this particular case merit substantial further investigation, and it goes into reasons why. California talks about the climate. Everybody knows about the climate in California and the climate tax, of course. And then you get the state-by-state snapshots. I'm just going to scroll down here, and you can see what each one of these states will provide for you. Plus, we give you resources, too, lots of them, not just this coming from the tool itself, but we're giving you resources that the tool used to produce all of this. Tax policy comparisons, housing and cost of living. So we're going to cover each one of those categories you made a choice in, and we're going to compare them with other states so that you can make the final decision. The tool's not going to do that for you. We're just bringing the information to you as we go down. So what your priorities suggest, possibly Florida and Mississippi appear to deserve the most further investigation. And again, drilling down to the local communities, but at least it's a good start here, saying that they're probably going to work out better for you than California is. Now, you could have put 5 in here, 5 states, and if you can go back in and change them, you can also change your parameters as well and redo this once again. Now, here's the local research information for you. Take a retirement community test drive. Some suggestions that we make for you as you start to look further into the area you're going to go to. Research sources are here. Like I said, tremendous amount of research sources. You can just click on these things and you can take days to go through all of this if you want. This is where we gathered all the information, so it's factually correct now and will be the next time you run this, because it'll take whatever they posted on their websites. So you can click this button and you can save the report, you can print it, and that uses your own computer's print system. So it's all different if you have an Apple computer, as this is, or you have a Windows type of computer, then you use the print system. And this will print on multiple pages. As you can see, here's quite a few and in here, or you can just come back to it again and again. You can also save it on your computer and you can read it there too, so you don't necessarily need to print it with paper. Well, this is our Retirement Destination Research Assistant, and you can find that assistant in this article, Why Florida Isn't the Only Retirement Paradise. Compare before you move. And we're going to put a link in here that you'll see. You can just click on that. You can read our article. Or if you happen to have gone to the article first, you can click in the article and then it'll take you back to the tool. Well, thank you for coming to visit and come back to our future YouTube videos. Be sure to check out our podcast, RetireCoast.com, and also come to RetireCoast.com for a lot of material for retirement. And also look at our estate planning membership. If you haven't yet created your will or a trust, you can do that as a member, and you can do a lot more than that as well and completely finish your entire estate planning portfolio online. Well, thank you for coming.